when they first fought, she was reckless. So there were lots of good opportunities for Carla Esparza to catch her. Since then, she's become very, very calculated. Like if you look at Rose's career, especially recently, she beat Joanna in 3 minutes, and then she decisioned her. So she stopped her, and then she gave us no doubt that she was a better fighter. Then she came in and she stopped Zhang Weili in just under 1:20, and then she came back in and beat her again and convinced us over 25 minutes that she was the better fighter. She's a very, very measured and calculated fighter. Because she beat them by knockout the first time, it didn't mean that she was going to come in and think she was going to do it again. She gave them the respect that they were going to have improved. So she would do the same thing with Carla Esparza. She'll also remember who she was and how she fought the first time around. And she'll know that she's grown a lot since then and that she's a different fighter. So there's going to be confidence in that. She's a lot more calculated now than she was when they first fought. I mean, let's have a look. So when they first fought, you can see immediately how much more aggressive she is. She covers the octagon straight away, hands down, chin out, and she feints hard. So she's immediately trying to dominate the space. And Carla, she was pushed back. She's of course waiting for the right opportunity to level change, but she was just, you could tell she wasn't confident when she was throwing her strikes. She did do some decent countering as Rose was crashing forward, but Rose was generally getting the better of a lot of these exchanges. But she was a little bit reckless with it as well, which it did cost her a couple of times. I mean, you can see her coming here. She goes lead uppercut to a cross and then sweeps with a rear high kick. That's going to be a key in this fight. The danger of throwing low kicks and body kicks is, of course, they can get caught. It's a lot more dangerous for the wrestler to try and catch a high kick because, judging where it's going to go, the direction and the speed at which it's going to go, and then deciding how you're going to catch it. Do you want to try and go over the top of it, which is really quite difficult, although it does happen? Or do you want to come underneath it, and in which case you've got to an extent, take the kick on the neck and on the shoulder. Body kicks are much easier to catch. Low kicks are somewhat easy to catch, which is why obviously we have to set them up with hands when we're stepping in. Rose was doing a good job of stitching her kicks onto the end of her striking combinations, but she was very aggressive. Here you can see she gets caught here. So she's coming with a similar combination. She's actually coming right hand and then to an uppercut. And as she's throwing the uppercut, she gets caught with a big left hook. But then pressures forward and then throws another high kick and almost gets this one caught. And as I said, she did get a little bit reckless. There was times when she came crashing in and she did pay for it, as you can see here. She comes in with like a skip high kick. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Look, Carla decides to catch it. But even in the process of catching it, she takes that kick. She takes the power of the kick under the arm. She manages to catch the leg and run a single leg and put her on her back. And then she was able to control her for a bit on the floor. Rose was active off her back. Now, because she started at such a pace and because she was so aggressive, it made it easier for Carla Esparza to intercept. It gave her more options, more legs to catch, more times to level change when her momentum's coming forward. Which made Rose work very hard because, of course, she's defending some of the takedowns, but she's also being taken down and then having to scramble back to her feet. I mean, look, you can see, you don't see this stuff from Rose really anymore. A wild spinning back fist. And a good double leg drive here from Carla. From a long way out, but Rose's takedown offense has improved, it's worth noting. But, all this kind of stuff is exhausting for Rose. She actually comes off quite well here because she keeps hold of the clinch and lands some knees. To be honest, the blueprint for beating Carla Esparza for me was made by Joanna a while ago. And anybody that beats Carla Esparza generally can stuff her takedowns because it seems to me, and I don't know whether that's changed recently in her career. I don't know whether she's become more confident in her MMA wrestling because, I would think she has. But certainly when she fought Joanna the first time, she was shut down in the wrestling, and you could see how discouraged she was. I mean, she was getting peppered with strikes, but it was the discouragement of the shots, and every time she took a shot, she was smashed into the canvas, and Joanna was hitting her with really, really nice elbows and making it very, very unpleasant for her. I don't know if Rose has got that kind of meanness, but she can certainly learn something from that fight. You know, making her pay every time she level changes, making the takedown defense the priority, but then, you know, stitching onto the back of it, clinch, elbows and knees, just to give Carla Esparza a deterrent for level changing in the future. And I think if Rose is able to do that, like some other fighters have been able to do, I think she's going to be able to establish a good control. Then, you know, it depends where she wants to take the fight. Does she want to keep striking, or does she want to, work a submission? She has good options, but you know, in this first fight, she was just a little bit too wild. She got tired, and then, you know, in the third round, you can see here she throws a bad decision making here. Goes to throw a front kick. Carla Esparza level changes and catches it and runs her to the floor, and then works to control her. And as Rose is trying to scramble to escape, she gives her back. And then Carla's able to land a few strikes, sink in her hooks, and get the rear naked choke finish. And this was a big turning point for Rose in her career. I mean, this is an image that kind of stuck with me after the fight. Like, she just sat up and put her arms around her knees, and she just kind of sat there for a moment and just took it in. And you can see that this was a very, very impactful moment in her career. And the reason why she's so good now is because of these kind of moments where she had to, you know, regroup. She had to assess who she was as a martial artist and what she needed to do to improve. And I think, you know, there's a demon to be exercised here for Rose, because she's rematching Esparza, and she's going to feel like she's in a much better position to beat her this time around.